Frances McCullen discovers a green handbag left behind on the subway. Since the lost and found is already closed, she decides to take it home. Frances lives with her best friend, Erica Penn, who goes through the contents of the bag and finds an ID belonging to Greta Handbag. The next day, Frances attempts to return the bag. Little did she know she is about to fall into a trap. Greta opens the door and invites Frances in for coffee, expressing gratitude for the returned handbag. Amidst their conversation, a muffled thudding sound comes from the walls. Greta explains that the neighbor is renovating. Frances learns that Greta's husband passed away many years ago. Her daughter Nicola lives in Paris, and even her beloved dog has passed away. Having lost her mother last year, Frances connects with Greta's grief and loneliness. In a moment of empathy, Frances suggests the idea of getting another dog and leaves her phone number for Greta. That night, Greta calls Frances to say she has decided to adopt a dog and hopes Frances can assist in choosing one. On Saturday morning, they visit an animal shelter and adopt a dog named Morton. In the following days, Greta and Frances become very close. They spend a lot of time together, walking the dog and visiting the church where Greta's husband played the organ. One evening, Frances visits Greta's house for dinner. As she looks for candles, she stumbles upon a startling secret: a cabinet filled with identical handbags, each containing the same ID, but labeled with different names and phone numbers on the back. Frances realizes it's a scam. Greta intentionally set it up as bait. Freaking out, Frances makes an excuse and abruptly leaves in the middle of dinner. She shares this with Erica and decides to cut Greta off from her life. Since then, Frances has been avoiding Greta's calls, but Greta continues to harass her with countless phone calls. She even shows up at the restaurant where Frances works, attempting to talk to her. Unable to endure it any longer, Frances confronts Greta, revealing that she knows about her sick game and expressing her desire to never see her again. Despite Frances's clear stance, Greta persists in calling and leaving messages in an attempt to explain herself. She even sends flowers as an apology, but Frances rejects them. Things escalate further. While Frances is at work, she notices Greta standing motionless outside the restaurant, staring at her for hours. Police cannot intervene because Greta is not breaking any laws by merely standing across the street. After work, Frances cautiously confirms that Greta is gone before heading home. Unexpectedly, Greta appears on the subway, prompting Frances to quickly exit the train. Upon reaching home, Frances believes she has shaken off Greta and feels a bit relieved. However, as soon as she exits the elevator, she discovers Greta waiting at her doorstep. Greta claims to be lonely and expresses a desire to continue their friendship. Frances sternly warns her to stop disrupting her life. Greta vengefully spits a wad of gum into Frances's hair. Frances and Erica go to the police station to apply for a restraining order. However, they learn that it could take several months to obtain one. Worried about the safety of the dog, Frances goes to Greta's house to check on it. In the trash, she discovers a letter written to Greta's daughter, Nicola, but returned. However, the address indicates Brooklyn. Following the information in the letter, Frances gets in contact with a woman. She turns out to be Greta's psychiatrist, who reveals even more shocking information. Greta is a dangerous woman. After losing her husband, she develops severe mental illness. Greta's daughter couldn't endure her mother's sadistic behavior and took her own life 4 years ago and had never been to France. Greta escalates her actions by sending photos of Erica to Frances. Frances realizes that Greta is stalking Erica and immediately calls her to warn her. Greta continues to follow Erica and sends photos. Frances urgently takes a taxi to pick up Erica, ensuring her safety just in time. One night at the restaurant, Greta makes a reservation and shows up as a customer. Faced with Frances' rejection, she smashes a wine glass and flips over her table, causing a disturbing scene. Even more outrageously, she claims Frances's mother had to die for them to meet. Greta is then restrained by the staff, and the police arrive to take her away. The following day, Frances learns that Greta has been released, afraid she might come to harass her again. Frances takes Erica's advice and goes to the church to find Greta. She lies to Greta that she is going away for a while, as a way to slowly fade her out of her life. That night, Greta poisons Morton. The next morning, Frances is having coffee at home, but soon she starts feeling dizzy and collapses on the floor. In a daze, she sees Greta. Frances is taken to Greta's house, where she vaguely sees Greta opening a secret room behind the piano, and then she passes out. Greta drags her into the room. Upon waking up, Frances finds herself locked inside a toy box. She desperately screams to be let out. Greta opens the box and claims it's her punishment for lying about going away. After Greta leaves, Frances tries to escape but finds all the windows and doors locked. She also discovers an ID belonging to Samantha, the previous girl who has been kidnapped. To avoid suspicion about Frances' disappearance, Greta uses Frances's phone to send travel photos separately to her father and Erica, making it seem like Frances is traveling with the other. During her captivity, Greta forces Frances to learn how to play the piano, punishing her for every mistake. At night, she drugs her and holds her in her arms to sleep. Frances's father pays a visit to his daughter, and they only then realize that Frances has been missing all this time. Sensing danger, her father hires a private detective to find her. One day, Greta forces Frances to bake cookies. Frances seizes the opportunity, grabs a rolling pin, breaks Greta's pinky finger, and knocks her unconscious. She attempts to escape but finds no way out. Frances runs into the basement to look for an exit, where she discovers the previous victim in a plastic bag. Greta catches up and suffocates Frances until she passes out, then binds her hands and feet to the bed, locking her in the secret room. The detective follows clues and finds Greta's house. Greta invites him in, and Frances hears him saying he is looking for her, vigorously banging on the bed, hoping to get the detective's attention. However, Greta blocks out the noise with music. While she is out of the room, the detective notices something odd about the metronome on the piano. As he approaches for a closer look, he discovers the secret room behind the piano. Greta suddenly appears and injects him with a sedative. In a dazed state, the detective attempts to shoot Greta, but he misses every shot and eventually passes out. Greta calmly picks up his gun and fires 2 shots at him. She then tosses the body into the basement. Greta once again leaves her bag on the subway to find the next victim. A brunette girl takes the bait and knocks on Greta's door with the bag. She invites the girl in for some snacks, drugs her coffee, and engages in conversation. Frances tries to alert the girl banging on the bedboard. Greta uses the same excuse, claiming it's just the neighbor doing renovations. Greta takes a sip of coffee and starts to feel dizzy, realizing she's been drugged. The girl takes off her wig, revealing herself to be Erica. She has been searching for the handbag on the subway to find her friend for a long time. Greta passes out, and Erica starts looking for Frances. Finally, she notices the metronome, pushes aside the piano, and rescues Frances. Just as they are about to leave, the piano starts playing from outside. Frances is freaking out, and Erica steps out to find that the music is coming from a record player. Believing it's safe, Frances walks out of the room, and suddenly Greta grabs her from behind, telling her she is her favorite, and then collapses again. Just as Erica is about to bludgeon her, Frances stops her. They decide to put Greta in the box, locking it with a small Eiffel Tower trinket. After they leave to call the police, Greta begins to rattle the lid, and the trinket begins to slowly slide off.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.